mean, this guy was wealthy. He didn't need to be working, 3 kids in Harvard. He said, well, exactly what is it that you're going to do for me, Nancy? And inside I was thinking, I don't have a clue. But I said, well, I'm going to help you find a job you really like, Bill. So 9 months later, he had 2 good offers, and he did take a job. And he went to work for a small bank as a VP. See, he wanted the status. He had to have the VP. I knew even then instinctively that was not really what he ought to be doing, but I didn't know enough even to articulate it. Well, 2 years later, he came in and he talked to me and he said, Philip, my oldest son's graduated from Harvard and we're going to go into business together. I said, really? What are you going to do? He said, we're going to be financial planners. I said, that's it. That's exactly what you ought to be doing. See, why? This was a real straight-shooting Dutch guy. He couldn't handle the politics and the machinations of the bank. He was over in Manila, for heaven's sakes, with all the political stuff that went over there with the Marcos regime. And that's why he was out of sync. See, he was not a political guy. He was a really good financial guy, really good banker. He needed to have clients. But see, that was very young in terms of those days. There weren't a lot of financial planners. There was not a lot of client-based businesses in those days. Now, of course, it's all over the place. It's the coming thing. Everybody has clients, which is just going to go on and on. That's not going to end because the thing people want is personal attention to solve their problems. And if you can solve their problems, whatever those problems are, they will hire you. And that is the coming thing. So he was way, way, way ahead. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is stop and have each one of you do a short exercise. You may not have time to finish all of it, but I know some of you would like to have me work with you individually, and that's also a lot of fun for everybody. So I'm going to have Patrice and Adrian pass out. It's 1 page, and I've taken this as excerpts from Work with Passion in Midlife and Beyond, just to show you what the clues are to passion, what to look for. So I'm going to give you about 10 minutes for you to fill this out. And as I say at the top of the page, don't think too much about these questions. You can always change it when you get home tonight. Okay, so I'll give you 10 minutes.
Tell them that if they don't have enough, just to let us know.
If you don't have enough, please let us know so we can make more copies. Fill in the blanks.
I'm happiest when I'm creating, illustrating, drawing, writing.
And what are your values? What did you pick as your top 5 values?
Creativity, teamwork, compassion, altruism, and passion.
Aha. Well, altruism and compassion, it's like an overstatement. Do you find that people tell you a lot of their problems?
All the time.
Well, that can be a real hindrance to creativity because it can drain your energy.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say that boundaries are an issue about being able to say no to people?
Not anymore. It used to be when I was younger. I mean, up until like the last couple of years, yeah.
And what was it that helped you to learn to draw the boundaries?
Because I was giving more of my time to them than I was seeking my own path.
Yes. One of the things that I've discovered with people who are compassionate, which all of my clients are and all of you are, I assume, is that it's very difficult how to turn off that giving and caring, and what changes from caring into rescuing and fixing people's problems, and the next thing you know, they're calling you all the time and you don't have time to create. Mm-hmm. Have you had anybody critique your work?
Yes.
And what has been the verdict?
Well, on my illustration, they can't believe that I can draw like that or paint like that.
And have you put it out in the marketplace yet?
I used to do it for 15 years in Chicago.
Okay, so now, is that what you want to do?
No, I want to write, and I have been writing.
Okay, that's very interesting because the visual does translate into the writing. So how about having a person critique your writing? Has that happened?
Yes,
Okay.
several times.
And what do they say that you should go to? Fiction, nonfiction?
Right now I am writing nonfiction, but I have written some fictional short stories that people find pretty interesting.
Yeah, for you, I really think fiction, because you have such a mind full of images, and for you to create stories where you could just have the freedom. Nonfiction can be restrictive.
Well, you have to, for me, when I write nonfiction, it's about the facts. About the facts.
Correct. Well, I don't think that creative part of you is interested in facts
No,
at all.
no.
So make it up.
I did. I wrote a great short story about an angel who got in heaven because there weren't enough angels, and she should not have gotten in.
Well, see, you had to make.
But there was a shortage, so they had to lower the standards.
Oh God,
It's really
maybe
a great
there's
story.
maybe there's hope for me. I see.
I think it was autobiographical.
Well, you know, autobiographical is everybody's autobiography, you know. See, so I really think that you should just totally forgo the nonfiction. That's not the path, because it's restricting that part of you that's so playful. See, your creative self is very playful.
Yeah, I want to be a stand-up comedian someday.
Well,
But I'm going to sit down doing it.
as I said, the main thing in the second half of life is that you've got to have focus. You can't. People have asked me a lot of times, can you have a lot of passions? Well, it depends on how good you want to be.
I find when I try to do, because I am a very good writer, I'm a very good business person, except when I was in business, I was doing marketing for small business people. I ended up doing everything for nothing because
Yeah.
I felt sorry for them because they were so clueless as to how to run their business.
Well, as I said,
Until I stopped.
I think if you make a business of writing, you see, where it's just you alone, you and you alone, because you're the type, you kind of porous, you know, you're porous. And people you just sort of leak. If you don't have.
As I got older, I leak more.
Yeah. Well, the thing about people who are solos, though, and there are three types in work. There's a solo, there's a partner, there's a team. And see, you had on your list of values team thing. Take that off. It doesn't mean that you can't work with other people. But, you know, when you're creating a book, when you're writing a story, you're all alone. You're in total control. And I think the extroverted part of you gets a little lonely and may push you to say, oh, well, let's call up somebody, go do something. See? And that you got to balance that.
I was referring to the teamwork part where there was a time when I used to create alone without showing and getting, feedback. So that's what I was talking about.
Okay, well, that's fine. I'm just talking about working with people to create something. You would dilute it. Okay, great. All right, next. You're on the right track. Yeah, you're welcome. Am I going to have to pick a volunteer? Yes. Your first name? Christy. And I am happiest when? Sorry? I can't hear you. Oh, you stand. Yes, I'm sorry. A little dense this morning. I think everybody can hear you better. So I'm happiest when? Fill in the blank.
I'm happiest when I'm interacting with people, inspiring others.
She can't. Is her mic on? You used it all up, Asha.
Work now? There it goes.
Yeah, okay.
I've never had a problem people hearing me. I am happiest when I'm interacting with people.
Would you consider yourself an extrovert?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How much time do you need alone? 50, let's say 100, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much time are you comfortable being alone? 30, 20%? What's the ratio? 60 alone,
No.
40? Okay.
I think I am the most alive in being with people. That's the gift I've been given.
And what are your values that you chose?
Inspirational, integrity, being in a place where I'm consciously aware of my growth and contributions in life, using my full potential.
And what are you doing now for a living?
Public relations.
Yeah. And have you considered speaking?
Absolutely.
And have you put yourself out there as a speaker?
I'm just now doing that.
Yeah, because I really think that's the path for you in the future. A wonderful voice, doesn't she? Yeah, very nice, very nice. A little bit more training maybe. But I really think that you could take, because extroverts, I'm an introvert. I'm not an extrovert. Speaking, I can do some, but not much. I like the one-on-one, and I need a lot of solitude. But for someone like you actually get charged up.
Absolutely.
By being around a group, and then you feed off of their energy, right? See, so it's a natural for you at this stage of life for you to be using that inspiration that you're able to do for people to really develop a speaking career. You need to get some topics. Do you know what you would talk about yet?
It just has come to me, actually. It's something that in my spiritual growth, it just...
Well, tell me about your strengths that you picked.
Communications is... was that the bottom one? Let's see, yeah. Insight into others,
and
spiritual awareness, spontaneity.
And where is the word that would imply toughness?
Toughness? I don't have that in here.
Yeah, I think that's what you're lacking. That because you're so approachable, that you may need to add a little edge on to the strengths. Like, for example, a word like firm as a strength, definite. You hear? Because too much the other way, it's not really tuning into the dark side of human nature. Because, see, someone like you would attract that. What are you going to do? How are you going to handle it? So toughness, have a tougher edge. To add that to your repertoire would get you all nice and aligned so that you would be safe, when you're going out there into the world. Because, you can attract a lot of crazy people.
That's true. No, I actually am worried about that, being able to handle when you want to help people.
Yeah.
And when you put yourself out there at that level, then people come to you for
Correct.
that. And how do you still give and not lose yourself?
Well, I would
recommend.
Right now you're not ready for that. Right now it would overwhelm you. I would suggest that you take some sort of martial arts.
Whoa. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that you can have a sense of the energy when it's coming at you, how to either step away and let it go by, or how to confront it so that it blocks you. Like, see, because as I said, you're just too approachable, and the more you get out there, the more people come toward you. I have a client in Romania who has the same problem you do. She's got into this spiritual helping people thing, and she contacted me through the website, and we've never talked. We just work by email. But I could tell right away it was boundary issues. She just did not know how, and she attracted, I think, every crazy person in Romania, that wanted to have her fix them because she's just so giving and loving, and she's also beautiful like you. See, so she was a magnet, and it just completely wiped her out. And she came to the conclusion she didn't want to have anything to do with people at all. See, which was the wrong conclusion. But it was because she didn't have this toughness to her personality, because she didn't want to hurt people. Right? Well, it's no accident she grew up in an alcoholic home. Because in an alcoholic home, you're trained to think about the person who's barging in on everybody. You're not trained to think about yourself and your own boundaries. So I would just say something that would toughen you up. Martial arts would be a start. If that's not it, maybe tennis, anything that makes you come to the net, makes you really be aggressive, brings out that part of you.
I have that part of me.
I'm sure you do.
I definitely do.
I know you do. You just have to activate it and know when to activate it, when it's appropriate. But to be able to read people, read a group, and to